I'm back for another Conversations Over Coffee, and this morning I apologise if you can hear the rain outside is absolutely pelting down. Here in Wiltshire we've got heavy rain, it's not very nice. I've had to put my hair up out the way. The school run has not been very glamorous, so I apologise of my look this morning. Yes, it's wet, although we do need a bit of rain, I must admit, but I don't like it. I've got to go outside in it. So I'm in my studio this morning. It's actually not as chilly up here today. Maybe the rain's brought a bit of warmer weather, I don't know. So I'm up in my studio. I've put you in another little spot today because it's a tip in my studio at the moment. I've got a workshop tonight, so I need to tidy up. So this is a little corner of my studio. This is one of the cutting tables, which is currently full with stuff. There's my daughter's sewing box there and some orders I've been making. And I wanted to come on and have a little chat with you again this morning. I'm loving these conversations over coffee. I'm on the green tea again today. And thank you all so much for everybody who has commented and got involved in those conversations. It's been fantastic reading all of your comments and finding out a little bit about what sparks you, things that you find good, hard, you know, all of those different responses. It's been fab. So thank you so much. It's been a really good response. And this morning, I want to talk about a subject that's quite close to my heart. Well, it particularly was when I first started out. And that's why we choose to do sewing or the particular hobby or craft that we choose. Or maybe we do a few. And that, I wanted to talk about that this morning. I was going to talk about something else, and then I was having a little scroll on my social media this morning, and somebody responded with a bit of an answer that prompted me to want to talk about this today. So that's where I'm going. So why do we do what we choose to do? So for me, my sewing why was really specific. There was a real reason why I wanted to restart that or relight that in my life at the particular time I did. So I had a trauma in my life about 7 years ago that really hit me hard, and that's when I restarted my sewing. I'd had kind of a bit of a break from it. And I'd always, you know, done crafty things when I was young, growing up. Our house is full of, you know, craft, either sewing or knitting or all sorts really. We used to always be doing bits and pieces. So I've kind of grown up in that environment. But 7 years ago, I had a trauma in my life that I needed something extra to help me through, and I turned to sewing because it kind of gave me childhood memories, which was really nice. I knew I could do it, which was really good. I didn't have to learn anything new, so it was quite easy for me to get back into it. And for me, sewing was an escapism. I love to say that because it truly was, and it still is now. And even though I do it for my business now, so I'm sort of prompted that I have to do the sewing. When orders come through, you know, I have to fulfill those orders, for instance. When I'm doing my me-made sewing, it's real escapism for me, and it gives me time to just stop and relax and not have to think about all my other jobs that need doing. I can just relax and do that one thing for me. And the other reason, my other why, so that was my main one, and that kind of progressed and it turned into a business, what it is today, which is fantastic. But my other why for starting it was how it made other people feel as well. So I really quickly saw that once I started sewing more and more, people wanted to have the things I was making, start to buy them, and that's how my business began, making handmade gifts. And I just saw the joy on them as well. So they loved what I was making for them, and it brought you know, a smile to their face, which equally brought a smile to my face. It made me feel good about myself, so it boosted confidence. And yeah, that for me was my ultimate sort of why at the beginning, and that's changed over time. I definitely have still got that why of wanting to make other people happy as such and help other people find that joy, and that's why I love doing this sort of thing. That's why I love coming on to my YouTube channel and coming on to my social sewing community group and Facebook, because I want to be able to share what I've used over the last 7 years, share how that's made me feel to other people. So I know that comes like deep from my heart to say all these things, and it's, you know, my truth out there, that my why is sort of really connected to my roots and making me feel good, really making me feel better. And it's really linked. I've read a few things over the years about how crafts and creativeness, sewing, anything creative, is really linked to your well-being and mental health. It's really good for you. That sort of joy it sparks, not always joy, when it's going good, that joy it sparks is really good for you. And also the social element, but you have to find that social element, which again is one of the reasons I started the social sewing community, because I wanted to bring those groups of people together. So I wanted to bring women together for the same reason. So our peers are enjoying the same things that we can connect with in a safe environment. You know, we didn't have to have comments from people that weren't on our wavelength, weren't crafters or sewers or knitters or whatever we are. We could come together and we could enjoy the same sort of time out, relaxation and hobbies that we want to get involved in. So that's also really important to me. So my why has definitely evolved. It's definitely now centered more around others and how I make others feel and how I can help them feel good about themselves through the art of creativity, and in particular for me, sewing, because that's my passion and love. So I'd be really interested to know, you know, what is it you think, why is it, what is it that makes you enjoy your hobby, makes you enjoy it? If it's sewing, you know, what is it that you really love about it, that really drives you to keep wanting to do it? Let me know in the comments, it'd be really interesting to know. But on the back of that, even though I love sewing and I'm very passionate about it, it doesn't always come really naturally. And naturally, I'm meaning by that, not the actual process of sewing, the motivation to want to do it all the time. So not only do I do it for a business, so I've got those pressures behind me of having to keep up with orders and having to fulfill routines online and social media. That can take its toll on some of the elements of the sewing journey. But for me, it's the motivation to find that time to sew for me alongside my work, especially when it's the same as what I'm doing in my day-to-day work. And there's a few ways I do that. So I definitely take time out. So I schedule into my diary when I've got time to sit down and do it just for me and nothing else. And I spoke about this in one of my previous conversations over coffee. The first one, I think, how do you make time? And it's so important. It's such an important subject, because if we don't do that, then we're definitely not going to indulge in the wonderful hobbies and crafts that we want to do. We have to make time to do it. We have to schedule that out. So I make time. I definitely make time. So for instance, at the weekend, on Sunday, I scheduled out time to do some sewing. So I said to my husband, I'm going to do some sewing today. So you looking after the house, basically. My daughter came up with me in the end and did sewing with me, so it's really lovely most of the time. So I scheduled that time, and I told him, you know, I committed to it, and he was committed then as well. He was like, yeah, that's fine, you know. He knew that I was going to be up out the way doing my sewing, and I'd be just pottering in and out. So that's what I done, and I loved it. It was lovely, because I don't get a massive amount of time to do me-made sewing. And I finished a whole project in that day, and I felt really good at the end of it, really accomplished. I absolutely loved what I made, and I'm going to share that on my vlog very soon. It felt good, and that then motivated me to want to come on and chat with you guys. It motivated me to look for my next pattern, to scroll through some fabrics. So as soon as you get into that circle and routine as such, it starts to become easier. I find the more I do things, the easier it is to continue. And you obviously get lulls, well, where you're not feeling your best or your energies are low. And that's when it's really good to grab out and meet up with other people, like-minded people. So if you follow groups on Facebook or social media, or if you've got some crafty friends, when you're feeling that your energies are low and you can't find your what we call sojo in the sewing world, then that's the time to sort of reach out to others and do crafting and sewing with them as well. So get together in groups, because it can be quite a lonely hobby as well. Any hobby can be. As much as it's lovely to escape and do something just for yourself and focus your mind on what you're doing for that period of time, it can be quite lonely too. And I don't know if you've realised, but I'm quite a sociable being. I like to talk, hence I love coming on all these social media videos and things. I love it. So for me, sewing can be quite lonely. I feel that I'm sort of even though I'm enjoying it and it brings me escapism, there are times when I need to do it with somebody else so that I can enjoy that connection as well. So really important to notice that, because sewing alone is one thing, but when you're using it for purpose and aid as such to make you feel good or to find that motivation and passion in something, just remember, when that passion or motivation starts to lack or goes, reach out to other people you know and get involved with them. So second question for you guys then. Are you a lone sewer? Do you love crafting and sewing on your own particularly, or are you a social butterfly like me? Do you like to connect with others? So even though it's really nice to do sewing and hobbies on your own, equally you need that mix and you need to be interacting with others and getting creative with them too. So let me know in the comments, are you particularly a lone sewer or crafter, or do you like group environments, classes, friends, that social element of your craft? Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, why we do it, why it's really good for us to do it, you know, for our well-being, our sense of escapism, sparking up that creativity and hopefully sparking the motivation and driving us forward. It really brings a sense of achievement, I find, when I'm doing projects and when I watch other people making things as well. So that's it really from me. I want to come on and sort of share that with you guys. I'd be really interested to find out your comments, so please comment below, whether that be on Instagram or on YouTube on my channel here. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on that little bell, and if you want you can click to get notifications, so it will ring a little bell on your phone every time I post a video. Even better, I'll be buzzing in your pocket, so to speak, and I'd love for you to subscribe because you'll be able to keep up to date with all of my videos. Hopefully I can inspire you to get creative, and I'm sharing tutorials throughout the month, and also my vlog is coming up soon as well, so I can't wait to share with you what I've been sewing for my personal sewing journey as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again. I think I'm going to come back on Friday morning, having a little break while I catch up on a few bits in the next couple of days. And until then, I will see you soon. Bye.